Hey, and we're live again. I told you I'd be back. I'd be back. I'm just hanging out here, kind of winding down my day, and yeah, I got a lot done today. Frankly, I helped my children who had the day off school. Um, they, over the course of the last while, have been extremely productive when it comes to creativity and art, and putting down their ideas on paper, and I help them go through a lot of stuff that they had accumulated and sort what was good, what was garbage, and recycling. And we had two full trash bags of recycling, of paper recycling, things that weren't meant to be kept but got filed away with all the good stuff. So we separated the good stuff and put it in a gigantic folder, but yay big, bit bigger, like this big maybe. Nice little, nice like plastic folder. And then we can go through that again and take a paper cutter, scissors, whatever is necessary to whittle down the final pieces of work and put them away in no, like binders or some sort of art portfolio type things, and keep them nice to display for time indefinite. Which is, when you look at an artist's portfolio, um, hopefully after seeing what we've done in the last few videos with sorting and organizing, um, maybe that will help you to appreciate just how much work actually goes into the creation of a portfolio, uh, an artist portfolio. It's not just something that you can that any artist can just kind of whip out of their rear end, so to speak, and suddenly it's there. A lot of thought goes into things, forethought, planning, and then once it's all solidified on paper or canvas or whatever medium, there's a lot of editing that goes into the final product. Sorting, cutting out the garbage, figuring out what's left, and then what to do with it. So, you know, we should collectively show more appreciation, I think, for artists and people who are creatively inclined because um, you know those are where all the real original ideas come from, is creative people, and our entire society is built on the ideas of creative people and creativity. So indeed we should uh, be supportive of the arts and artists, and not just by way of moral support, but by way of financial support whenever possible. Uh, you know, purchase things rather than take them for free off the internet. I know it's easy to do that and it's convenient, but that doesn't feed anybody. That doesn't clothe anybody. That doesn't house anybody. Artists are people too, and you know, they're in. We are in need of uh, basics, basic fundamentals to human life as well. And without artists, you know, you'd be living in a You wouldn't have a house to live in. It's an artist who comes up with the ideas for the home that you live in, an artist's hands that build the home that you live in. The arts are of the utmost importance to our society. Hi there, Chris. How are you today? Are you well? Where are you visiting from? May I ask? Is that private? Yo, you or yo? Chris Messy. You're very messy, Chris. So how are you? Are you going to say anything other than yo? Okay, I guess not. Well, then um, I'm going to talk some more about art. Uh, I think, hey, English guy, how are you? We were just talking about the importance of supporting arts and, and indeed artists because uh, basically everything comes from the mind of an artist. And indeed, people who build and make and create everything around us are also artists. And it's a it's a shame that in America there isn't more support for the arts and for artists, because without artists, the United States of America would not exist. Some of our founding fathers were artists. Benjamin Franklin, for instance, was an architect, I believe. Um, Certainly a creative mind and someone who was instrumental in bringing a lot of things into Western civilization. Yeah, art is very important. It's an expression of who we are. And if we lack the will to support the arts and artists, it's also an expression of who we are. And that is an ugly society that refuses to support arts and the artists themselves. Um, I think it's a real shame that so much is basically given away for free and taken for free from artists and creative people via the internet these days. Um, for instance, my own music has been heavily proliferated via the internet, um, to the tune of billions of downloads and streams and everything else. But I get very little in in terms of compensation for that. In fact, I basically get nothing when it comes down to it. It's almost like, breaking even really. I still have to rely on like funding myself in order to produce the work that I produce, which is really sad because somebody's making money, but I'm not seeing any of it. That's uh that's really a sign of injustice in terms of how our world is working, not just society, but indeed the whole world. Um, where creative people who actually produce the work aren't being compensated, but gigantic tech companies who don't really do anything other than take the work that other people have made and exploit it are making billions. Um, and we've tried to pass laws. We've passed laws that say that this type of behavior is illegal, but I don't see anybody stepping up to really enforce these types of things. And for the average creative person anymore, um, hiring like a legal team to pursue any sort of case in your favor is it's unaffordable, really. I mean, if you talk to lawyers, entertainment lawyers, they want to charge you like 350, $400 an hour. Nobody's got that kind of money to pay anybody, you know. It's absurd, and I think it's one of the great travesties of our time. Our entire culture is being sold off, and we're getting nothing in return for it. Yeah, tech companies think they have their own rules, but the law applies to them just as much as it applies to anybody else. So that's another thing I would like to see happen more of happening is enforcement of the law in terms of intellectual property and property like intellectual property rights, copyrights, this kind of thing. If I were anywhere near government, I would probably form some sort of committee, some sort of agency to, police and enforce the law. Police these companies and go in and examine exactly what they're doing, how much money they're making, what they're commercializing, what they're capitalizing on, and make sure that those who are responsible for the production of that content are indeed fairly compensated. Um, I think that's only right, especially in light of the fact that some of these companies are making crazy amounts of money and not giving anything back to the people who are being exploited. Um, I don't think there's much of a political will to do that at this point, which is sad because it could, with just a slight adjustment in the way the law is working and the government is working, it could actually drastically improve the economy. I mean, think of all the people you know that are involved in music or even photography, which you then put on, we, the makers of it, then put online, and these companies take that work and stick ad banners over over everything, and they get money, and we don't. Um, Imagine if we could create a situation where everybody has their own business and you put work up online and it's exploited, you are legally obligated to be compensated for that. Uh, I think most small businesses of that type would probably be more than willing to pay their fair share of taxes. Excuse me, I've got hiccups, and that would then benefit those people, and it would incentivize them to produce more and to work more, and it would be good for society all around. I think it would be a win-win situation if the laws were just enforced better. But I don't see anybody stepping up to make that happen, and I don't see uh, any situation arising that makes it affordable for the average creative type to pursue uh, a legal route against these companies. So yeah, tech companies think they have their own rules. They certainly do think that, but I do think there could be a time where they're going to just have to be, you know, made to pay because that's what a fair and just society does. It takes care of the artists and the creative people in it, and you should reap what you sow in terms of profit. Uh, and if you put something online and it gets, you know, a billion plays or a billion streams or 2 billion streams or whatever, as I, certainly my music has on some sites, it's gotten like billions of plays. It's pretty crazy. Um, but I worked hard on it, and worked hard to promote it for years, and they still don't want to pay anything. So I'm not the only person in that situation. There are a lot of people in that type of situation, and it's wrong. It's unfair, and we, I think, need to do something about it. And another thing is that tech companies don't even care about paying their taxes a lot of the time. They don't, it would be fine if they were paying their fair share of taxes, and it could be worked out somehow that people could get paid properly. But they seem to want to avoid paying their taxes entirely, which is, again, totally wrong. Well, maybe in some parts of the world, that's how things are done. But in America, you know, and other countries, uh, we always endeavor to be, fair and just. And certainly, any companies that want to do that inside the United States, I would certainly want to see them being held accountable. And uh, any companies that do that, even outside the United States, but with American music, art, film, photography, etc., etc., anything that's produced by Americans or in the United States, they are violating international law. And I would like to see other countries as well step up to the plate and really hold them accountable, because I know, for instance, like, there's a lot of these companies are in Europe now. They may have even started in the United States, but they're effectively European companies now. Like Facebook, for instance, is, I think, based in Ireland. Uh, Google is in also in Ireland. I think they're moving to the UK at some point. Um, let's see, what else is there? Well, there's YouTube. I don't know where they're based. I think they might be in California still, right? Twitter is in California. SoundCloud is in Germany. Um, they're kind of all over the place. There's a lot. There's a lot in Europe though now, and certainly the ones that are most guilty of not paying are in Europe, and which is very wrong. Yeah, um, especially considering that Europe is still getting money from the United States for the Marshall Plan. They could at least kind of, be more aware of the fact that these companies are effectively robbing everybody. Yep. Uh, I do believe that Apple was made to pay a huge sum of money to the Irish government recently for tax reasons. They were trying to avoid paying any taxes or something, and it was taken to court, and they were made to pay out to the Irish government, which is a start. It's nice to see that Ireland is actually taking that stuff seriously because Ireland has a lot of great music and art as well, and it's important to kind of start in your own country with taking care of the arts. Um, hmm, I, I think it was the other way around. Actually, the Irish government took them to court, and the EU tried to prevent it or something. I'm pretty sure it was the Irish government actually made them pay. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details there. I have to talk to my associates in Ireland who would know better. I actually have a my company is partially based in Ireland also, so uh, I've spent a lot of time uh, kind of trying to keep my company alive because at various points it was virtually impossible for me to be solely a United States based company because the taxes just would have crushed it. So after after a point, I moved part of my operations to Ireland, and indeed, up to today, it's still partially based in Ireland because I just haven't gotten around to moving everything back to the United States because the tax law has only changed with the Trump administration. The corporate tax law has significantly decreased with Trump as president. The corporate tax rate significantly decreased to this almost the same level as it is in Ireland, which is fantastic if you're an American company, if you or you want to be an American company, which in my case it's both. Um, but yeah, a lot of American companies were indeed forced to move to places like Ireland because the tax laws in the U.S. were very oppressive. Uh, Obama, no, the taxes. I mean, they were always kind of in my working life. I don't know when they started really going up. I think it was. I mean, I'm only 44, so I didn't start really operating my own company until I was, very like I didn't really start until I was already out of high school. So I was almost 20 by that point. So I just kind of always remember the taxes uh, on businesses being very high. I think they might have. Yeah, I think Bush Senior raised taxes on American businesses, um, and they just never really came down from whatever point they became the rate that they were at until Trump became president. The taxes on American businesses operating inside the United States were very high my entire working life. And Trump has completely changed that. He's decreased the tax rate to something like 13%, the corporate tax rate, which is really good. It's in Ireland, it's like 12.5%, so it's only slightly higher. It's almost, it's a negligible difference, which is positive. It doesn't negatively affect companies that are also based in Europe who might want to additionally stay in Europe. You can kind of do both now, which is amazing. Um, yeah, but I think Bush Jr. also raised taxes significantly on businesses, and indeed gave huge breaks to mega corporations to the point of where they were just able to crush small businesses out of existence. Yeah, Trump is a smart businessman. He understands that, in order to have a good economy, you need to make it free for people to pursue what they're doing. He's gotten rid of a lot of regulations and lower taxes, so now there's much more incentive for companies that maybe couldn't afford to operate in the United States to now return to the United States. He's made it he's made it legal for us to pursue other lines of business than we were able to do previously. Like for instance, I could, I have a lot of land. It's something that my wife and I have invested in, and a lot of it's just land out in the middle of nowhere that we couldn't really do anything with besides maybe farming, and sometimes that's not really a profitable thing to get involved in. Um, but he's made it legal for us to grow things like hemp, which is amazing. Hemp produces, if you're growing it for CBD oil, you can get like $2,500 per acre. So if you have, say, like just even like 40 acres of land, that's 40 times 2,500. That's a pretty good year in any man's English. 40 times 2,500. Let me get my calculator right now because I'm a little brain dead at the moment. I'm pretty tired. That would be $100,000 per year on a 40-acre piece of land that you might ordinarily not be able to do anything worthwhile with. Um, that's not a bad year. 100 grand. I would consider that to be a good year for most Americans, including myself. Really, I mean, I'm not some rich guy either, but yeah. So we're grateful for that because the regulations and taxes that were just constantly piled on the small businesses were crippling to the point of destroying us. And I'm still really I might be a corporation, I might have a corporation, but it's still effectively a small business. It's a small corporation. I don't, have a full-time staff or anything like that. I kind of contract here and there, have agreements here and there. No, I'm really not from the future. I am from 1974. I was born in August of 1974, and I have had access to time travel technology, and I have indeed been to the future and been to my own past. I've seen a lot of history, future history, past history, and yes, our government does probably have time travel technology that was acquired from extraterrestrial sources. Like you guys know the about the Roswell incident, right? You know that where the craft was found with the aliens in it, and they locked it up in Area 51 in Hangar 18, supposedly, right? Well, that craft, uh, I don't know about Noah. I don't know anything about Noah. Um, that yeah, that craft is a time spacecraft. It's not just a spacecraft. It's also a time traveling machine, and the creatures, the beings who pilot the craft are uh, time travelers. I don't know if it's still there. I think it might be, and I know that they like captured an alien, a so-called alien. Um, I don't even like to use that word because I don't necessarily know that they're from another planet. They could even be from Earth. We don't even know. They could be from Earth in the future. They could be from Earth in the past. They could be from Earth now. We just don't know. Um, I'm planning on. I mean, if I can get into office, I'm not in office, but if I do become president in 2024, um, I'm planning on not just investigating, but I'm planning on disclosing and making this information and the technology public so that not just our military can use it, not just some people can have access to it and use it, but everybody can. So that's my plan. I hope that I can be hardworking enough to let people know what I'm trying to accomplish, because that's the only way it's going to happen. I don't have tons of money to throw at letting people know. I'm not Donald Trump, you know. Um, I don't have some kind of huge support base, but I'm hoping that I can generate support over the next few years in order to get into office and then make this happen. And there's a few other things I want to accomplish if I can get into office. Um, One thing in particular is to change the age requirement for president of the United States. I would like to see younger people be able to uh, step up and run our country because I believe that will prevent us from getting into wars. Uh, I don't want to see any more wars. I hate war. It's disgusting. My family have been military for generations, and I've seen what war has done to people. It's nothing to be excited about, nothing to be happy about. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just starting right now to put the word out. It's only been, uh, it's not been that long, you know. Climate change, I think climate change is a natural occurrence, and I think the Earth has always changed, and I don't think there's a whole lot we can do about that. I think what we need to do, instead of worrying about changing our behavior to try to prevent climate change, that's just egotistical. I think what we really need to do is figure out new technologies that will enable us to adapt to the inevitable change in climate. And we need to stop building on coastlines. We just stop building in earthquake zones. That's just stupid. Whoever started Los Angeles, for instance, obviously wasn't thinking ahead very far. They didn't know that it was on a fault line and that any day that could open up and swallow the entire city. Um, we should never do that. We should never build in areas where something like that could happen. What I think we should be doing is looking into technologies like what's it called, anti gravity technology, for instance, and build build off the surface so that if there is flooding or an earthquake or wildfire or something, that whatever you're living in is floating above the earth, so it's not really going to affect you. I think that's what we need to do. I do know that there is anti-gravity technology as well, and it's being suppressed. We need to use that. We need to make it for public use so that anybody can escape from the inevitable change in our environment, our planet, the surface of the earth, the sea levels. These are just natural occurrences mostly. The earth is effectively alive, and for us to think that we can somehow control the earth, it's naive. You know, that's my take on it. Um, I think there are solutions to everything. We just have to be smart about stuff rather than, uh, you know, engage in some sort of naive idealism that isn't really going to get us anywhere, but makes everybody feel good. Like, oh, we're saving the earth. We're saving. It's like, well, that's not really going to stop a tsunami, no matter how much money you raise to try to make people aware of climate change. If a tsunami's going to happen, a tsunami's going to happen, and it's going to come and it's going to kill everything on the coastline. That's just the way it is. So you need to be ready for if and when that happens, and uh, technological advancement like anti-gravity tech, for instance, and making that available to the ordinary person can save lives and will save lives. But there's no reason we couldn't have like floating cities in even now. It's just the technology is suppressed. I mean, we could have houses that float off the ground, and do I really believe a tsunami could affect anywhere there's coastline? That's just you know that's just reality. Earthquakes happen, tsunamis, wilderness fires. What other types of things happen? Glacier melt, ocean level rise, this kind of thing. We should have never built cities on coastlines. They just weren't thinking ahead. And for us to think that we can just go on living the way that things were designed and done before we were even born, and that it's not going to somehow change is just, it's silly. We don't have as much control over these things as we think. People migrated for reasons over the course of human history because the climate has always changed. So yeah, you know, climate change is real, but it's not anything we can do anything about. That's my understanding of it. Um, I think it will be, or it would be sad to see cities like London, for instance, which is in a very low area, uh, immersed in water, or New York City, um, or Boston, where I'm from. I mean, these are very low-lying areas, and they're all on the coastline or near coastline. Uh, if the ocean levels rise just even a little bit by, say, like a glacier melt or something, which has always happened. Ice has always melted and then frozen again, and it's shifted, and these are just natural things that happen on the earth. Um, those cities could easily be submerged, and I think we can, one of the time, a couple of the time travel supposed time travelers have said that something's going to happen with Los Angeles in a few years. I see that as a distinct possibility. Um, and indeed, there are old maps that show California as an island. Maybe at one point California was an island and there was a climate change and the ocean changed, it shifted, it went out, and California became attached to the mainland. Well, that could easily happen again. You know, the ocean could come back in and then California is underwater. I think we will also probably learn how to build in the future at the bottom of the ocean and live underwater, like in underwater houses. Uh, that's definitely possible. There are those things do exist these days, but I think we just have to figure out intelligent ways to adapt, basically using technology that I'm sure we already have. It's just not being made public, and my aim is to make it public and available to you guys. You know, for our collective benefit, all of our to help all of us. Um, yeah, 10 years will change instantly. What I mean is that, yeah, um, I think there will be a point in the future where it's pretty well accepted by everybody that there are life forms other than ourselves that are highly intelligent and with advanced capabilities, and we shouldn't be scared of them. A lot of people are scared of aliens and this kind of, they get all freaked out, but like they're just people like us. They're just different people, different kind of people. But I've seen them since I was starting when I was 5 years old, and a lot of people have too. So it's not that unusual. Um, so that will certainly be interesting to see what types of technology we can access and develop and do more research into over the coming years, because I think that will help us solve a lot of our problems, or at least you know adapt to the changes that are inevitable. Yeah, just a different species. I mean, I've thought about it. They could even be us from the future. Like they could actually be humans. Like perhaps I don't. I think they're probably multiplanetary, wouldn't you? I mean, if they can travel through time and space, they probably don't come from anywhere anymore. They can be from everywhere. I don't know. But I've thought about it. They could indeed be just humans who have advanced thousands of years. Yeah, it seems like they do have the capability of extending their lives indefinitely. That's what I was able to ascertain from them, is that they can indeed live forever if they want to. So, the technology does exist also to extend life indefinitely. That's another thing I would like to see us having access to. But I think I've thought about this also, and The key is to make time travel available because that's kind of the gateway to every technology that ever existed. If we can access time travel, we can go to any time and then any place and access any technology that has ever existed anywhere or will ever exist anywhere. So it just by making public that one form of advanced technology, we make ourselves able to access everything else. So, like, say, for instance, in 50,000 AD, if somebody has technology that enables you to, I don't know, fly into the sun for some reason, or if you needed to do that, you could time travel to that year and use that technology. How did I feel? Uh, well, when I started to remember all of it, uh, because indeed my memory was suppressed, I started to feel a little crazy. I started to feel a little sick. And then I started to realize, well, wait a minute, this stuff actually happened. And there are many other people who these things have also happened too. And it's like, it's a movement to make these things public. And I don't, I don't think I'm going to stop talking about it. I mean, and neither are a lot of people. So I think maybe just talking about it is uh, doing good work and at least helping people who don't understand what we've been through to understand what the nature of this universe is and how different things really are to what they think. And it's also giving a voice to those people who, for some reason, might be afraid to talk or unwilling to talk for whatever reason. I'm not one of those people. I'm not really fearful of anything. Um, I'm just not afraid of people. Uh, if anyone has a problem with me talking about this stuff, feel free to let me know because as far as I can tell, I'm not doing anything wrong. If there's something I should be aware of, for instance, if there's some reason I should stop talking, if I'm endangering anybody or anything like that, I want to know about it, but I don't think I am. So that's why I'm continuing to talk about it. Um, at the very worst, I probably just come across as a crazy person or someone who's making stuff up for some ulterior motive. But I know that I'm neither of those. Uh, I'm not here to convince you of otherwise, but I think eventually you will see that I'm telling the truth and that my intentions are good, my motives are good, and I'm just trying to help people and make life better for everybody. Because in the end, that's what it's all about, right? And we're not here to struggle through every day. We're here to enjoy life, and anything that can add to that is in my opinion, should be for everybody who wants to be part of the bettering of the situation for humanity. Um, yeah, I've come in contact with a few people. In fact, it was someone I came in contact with that helped me to start remembering this stuff because I had no memory for a long time of anything. Because what happens is that memory suppression technology that is used on you when you are involved in this type of stuff, and you're put back into your ordinary civilian life with no recollection of anything. And that's what happened to me numerous times. Especially uh, the extraterrestrial stuff, because they have better technology for memory suppression. The government memory suppression technology made me depressed for like 38 years or something. Very seriously depressed because I couldn't remember anything. It was horrible. Um, Depression is a horrible thing, and I suffered from very bad depression, not knowing why, for like 38 years, guys. Something like that. Um, yeah. Hey there, monkey. Keller Warter. How are you today? But yeah, I can give you some names of people if you want to research about them. They're uh, mostly Americans, some Canadian, I think. Um, what? Tartar, Tartary, Tartaria, Bama, Erhe. Look up Andy Basiago, Andybasiago. I worked with him starting when I was 6 years old, and I have worked with him up until uh, I've worked with him recently, and Barack Obama is aware of this stuff and has participated in these things. George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, possibly Donald Trump. I don't know. It's entirely possible that Trump is aware of these things and isn't saying anything, but I will certainly not keep my mouth shut about it at all. I just hope none of these videos are deleted because I know in like 2, 3, 4 years, uh, this is going to be something that I hope more and more people become aware of. And these videos will, have be evidence of the fact that I've been talking about it all this time. Um, yeah. So, let's see. Right now, I am in the middle of promoting myself heavily on Twitter. Are you guys on Twitter at all? If you guys want to follow me on there, my primary official Twitter account is twitter.com/Macintosh USA. Um, Feel free to follow me on there. I will follow you back, and we can chat via the message thing on there if you guys want. Um, my email address is Michael Macintosh at protonmail.com. Feel free to send me an email. Yeah, I try to. I'm not. I'm not a huge fan of social media either. Like I'm not on Facebook, for instance. I keep getting kicked off of Facebook anyway because I'm like, there's stuff that they don't want getting known via their platform. So they've kind of like banned it, and I'm one of those things. Um, I tend to have very conservative viewpoints on things, and I know there's a tendency in Silicon Valley to view anything conservative and traditionally American as bad or evil, which I think they're incorrect, but hey, you know, they think they're progressive. I think they're regressive in a lot of things, and especially when it comes to censoring free speech and censoring anybody who has, who wants to, who supports the Constitution. I know, ooh, the Constitution, how radical, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, we've had it for a long time now, guys. Come on, get used to it. Um, yeah, I'm an advocate of the Second Amendment, for instance, and indeed the First Amendment. Um, I don't like anybody intruding into my life, especially government, and anything that can be done to limit the intrusion of government, I think is a good thing. And especially government that's controlled by banks and foreign interests, which the United States government has been. Uh, I think we need to limit their ability to intrude, and I think um, other countries could learn to do that also, and could learn to not intrude in the United States. It might work out better for all of us. It's like, we want to be friends, but um, people are making it difficult. Okay, good night. Have a good night, you guys. I think I'm going to get off here. I've been on this thing for like an hour now, so kind of tired. Um, I'll be back later. Welcome, Mr. Monkey D. Keller Warder, to the live chat. My name is Michael Macintosh. Live long and prosper, everybody. As my fellow Bostonian Leonard Nimoy used to say. Thanks for coming. Good night.